Coming up today on Rockland News, we'll be discussing the value of pilot programs with our guest, Joe Call. Plus, we'll be introducing our guest morning host show today, Robert Jowaiszas, and all the news, traffic, and weather you need for Monday morning here on AM Rockland's News.
You're listening to Rockland News, available on Apple, Spotify, and online at rocklandnews.com. Thanks for joining us today. Here is your host, Tom Osa.
All right, so we know that this audio is just a little bit too high in the morning. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn it off really stark, and we're just going to get right into all the news that is important to you today. Thank you again for joining us on AM Rockland's News. My name is Tom Osa, and we got a lot going on already. First of all, yesterday we had the Grand Fondo bicycle race going through Rockland County. The West Nyack Fire Department Fair returned to Germans Park on May 14th to 17th with rides, games, and fireworks. And we're going to talk about a new accelerant detection canine named for the fallen fighter that helped out in the Spring Valley fire in 2021. Jared Lloyd, the sheriff's office, introduced a canine trained to detect accelerants. We'll be talking a little bit about that. Plus, the Beat the Bite tick prevention campaign that the Rockland County Health Department urged residents to protect against ticks and Lyme disease with tips on repellents, clothing, and yard care. Before anything, let's get into the weather. So today it's going to be 90 degrees. Yep, summer is getting to us early. I feel like spring is just like, it's going to be in there somewhere. It's going to be on, it's going to be off, but hopefully we'll have a few more days where it's just easy going in terms of the weather. I think this weekend was it. But Monday and Tuesday, well, hot town, summer in the city. Monday, it's going to be 90 degrees, mostly sunny, partially cloudy, which is the opposite of mostly sunny. Tuesday is going to be 92 degrees and mostly sunny, partially cloudy. It's going to cool down just a tad on Wednesday, but not without some thunderclaps. Wednesday, it's going to be thunderstorms, 89 degrees high, and then it's going to go down to 54 degrees. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, you're going to see a mix of clouds, sun, rain, whatever the heck. There's going to be 61, 62, 52. And then Sunday and Monday, it's looking a little cloudy. So it's whatever, if you go too far into time, it's like, oh yeah, I think it's going to be cloudy on, July 18th. Who the heck knows? So what you can rely on right now is that Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday right now, it's going to be fairly sunny, fairly warm, and hope everybody has a good start to this week. We want to thank our sponsors, the New York Boulders baseball team, Yabu Fence Company, Dana Pest Control, and Easy Temp for all your ice machine repairs and commercial refrigeration. They cover the Hudson Valley. Dana Pest Control covers the Hudson Valley. Yabu Fence Company. And all these are family-owned businesses covering the Hudson Valley, and they are the epitome of awesomeness in family-owned business. Small business since 1965. How about that? We also want to thank Fiesta Acapulco, Kobe Sushi with their jazz music lounge, music on Wednesdays and Saturday nights, Breakpoint Bowling, Whole Shot Bagels, the UPS store in West Haverstraw for all your business card needs, Ivy Rehab Physical Therapy, Susan Bova, Coldwell Banker Realty, 99 Signs. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, a business without a sign is a sign of no business. So get all your digital billboard and portable sign needs at 99signs.com, located in Nyack, New York. FZ Perfection Auto Body Repair and Clean Space Maintenance Management Company. And I am very pleased on this Monday morning, very pleased to introduce a guest anchorman for today. Now, it's not exactly Will Ferrell. This is a serious gentleman. And let's just say we met a few years ago. We've been talking and working some things out. And I'm very pleased to introduce Robert Jowaiszas here on AM Rockland's News. And, we're going to be reading some news back and forth. Robert, how are you doing this morning?
Thank you, Mr. Osa. Actually, I know you quite well, so I guess I can call you Tom.
Yeah, just call me Tom. Mr. just doesn't resonate in my head. It's like, yo, what's up, man? That sort of thing.
And thank you very much. I just want to let everybody out there know that my voice might sound spoopy like a Vincent Price, but Dracula, it's because of the allergies. I swear to God, I did not have a hangover.
That's all right, man. You already sound like you're announcing a hockey event, so this is perfect.
My favorite sport. How'd you know Go ahead, Tom.
Just a guess. All you, sir. All you.
All right, now the Grand Final bicycle race on May 17th. The site recapped the Grand Final cycling event that passed through Rockland, drawing crowds but causing temporary traffic delays. West Nile Fire Department Fair. The fair returned to Germans Park May 14th through 17th with rides, games, and fun. New accelerant detection canine named for Jared Lloyd. The sheriff's office introduced canine train to detect accelerants, honoring the Spring Valley firefighter who died in a 2021 blaze. Beat the Bite Tick Prevention Campaign. The Rockland County Health Department urged residents to protect against ticks and Lyme disease with tips on repellents, clothing, and yard care. St. Thomas Aquinas College began construction on a track and field complex. The article highlighted quotes from the college president and details of the project. Another story is the Ramapo Catskill Library System honored. The Hudson Valley Press reported that the RCLS was named a 2026 Community Champion Award, recipient by the Community Foundation of Orange, Sullivan, and Rock. Another story is same building redevelopment. The Reagan Development and the Rockland Housing Action Coalition were chosen to redevelop the same building site into a mixed-use housing project with affordable units. That's fantastic.
Right.
Boulder sweep Sussex Miners. The Rockland Boulders baseball team swept the Sussex Miners in a sudden death, finishing their homestand 7-2. I guess that's good, Tom, because they are sponsors. Town of Clarkstown newsletter, Supervisor George Holman's update honored National Police Week. Announced the swearing-in ceremony for Police Chief James Fay. Advised residents of traffic delays with a May 17th Grand Fondo race and highlighted community events such as meetings with senior clubs and leadership from Rockland. Next story is a media alert. Rockland Community College 66th commencement. A May 14th media alert invited press to RCC's 66th commencement ceremony on May 18th at Clover Stadium, where student Matthew Mendez would deliver the address. Last story is Catholic Charities press release. Catholic Charities Community Services of Rockland County announced it would honor volunteers from each of the county's 14 parishes at its Hearts of Gold dinner on June 18th.
Mm-hmm. Very nice. And on any of those stories that you're looking to learn more about, we're going to have some information on rocklandnews.com, as we always do. And Robert, that was, I was just going to throw this out to you, man. That was fantastic. Like and like this, that, and the other. I didn't hear one like at all. That was amazing.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I've been doing this for 67 years. So I guess that's what.
Definitely confidence that I'm already jealous of. So you've been doing this for a while. If you could tell me, I know that you've done some publications. You've printed stories in various publications across Rockland County. Any one of those that come to mind? I know you've talked about your appreciation for the arts. Tell us a little bit more.
Well, I guess when I was very young, my voice was, I guess you could say, this deep. So it was either my parents wanted me to go to military school because I was very strange, or use my voice for other reasons. And I think I started doing commercials on local radio stations when I was quite young. Going through college, I went to Boston University. I wrote for a local, actually a school newspaper, and I've written for newspapers like Boston Globe and the Cleveland Plain Dealer, things like that. But I think what I wanted more to do was use my voice. So I worked on local radio stations. I came back to Rockland. My mother was ill, but I came back here, and this is where I'm from, Rockland County. So I enjoy giving back to this community where I'm from. So I actually worked with Tom at the Rockland News, which he helped me sort of get back on my feet. And thank you very much, Mr. Osa. Everybody should be aware that I did work with the Rockland News via print at one time. And so he was able to let me submit my work. But I have worked with other, let's say, news outlet, if you don't mind me saying.
Yeah. No, by all means. Hey, we're the news. So, we want to make sure you do some stuff in different publications. Any that you want to name, feel free. We admire the work of other news organizations as well.
All right. That's good.
Not as much, not as much the New York Times over the weekend, but that's a separate issue that's outside of Rockland.
No, the New York Times, I don't think so. And
yeah, it's like
Robert, keep it local. Now, since I'm from here, I'll keep it local. Nothing about national or
man,
or New York. Maybe in the future, but all kidding aside, I've written for the Rockland County Times. I put together the Rockland Review. I work with this Rockland Post. I have
Rockland Post.
Yeah, also Nyack News and Views. And I think what our goal is that, and I think Tom might agree with me, is to kind of put this into a community-related newspaper instead of regurgitating politics or go nationally, internationally. And I understand that is important to read, but we need something that identifies that is readable, that someone would want to put on the news, like Rockland News, AM, or read Rockland News or other local community newspapers because they want to see what's going in their community. And I'm very passionate, as Tom knows, with nonprofits like Special Olympics, Another Step, Jowaiszas. I have volunteered, donated for people that I know at Yankee Stadium, Madison Square Garden. I'm very passionate about that. Or local sports, or let's say the things like fire department, veterans awards. Even I just did a story on the Girl Scouts. Now, nobody did a story on the Girl Scouts. We did a Girl Scout story. They had, I think it was the Bronze Award.
I got to tell you, they are quite the entrepreneurs.
Absolutely. And who can forget their Thin Mints?
Yes.
And the fun thing about them, not the fun thing, but it's really deep. And we did a story on the history of the Girl Scouts going back to in the 20s, and they were related to the wars, like World War I, World War II. A beautiful thing is even on Valentine's Day, these young ladies actually write Valentine's Day cards to veterans. I mean, it's such a beautiful thing, and never gets exposed.
That's
these
awesome.
Kind of things. Or Little League Baseball, or things that people would want to read about. And I think it's important. Tom does a good job. Others around here, local news outlets. And of course, I like to expand. I have a history with arts.
Yeah.
So I like to go deeper with theater and stuff like that. So, and music.
Right. Yeah. A lot of Broadway level plays, as well as local plays as well. So an appreciation for acting. My only spot in acting was like high school, college. We did a few plays. Actually, we did the Christmas Carol over at Fieldstone Middle School, I guess like about 10, 12 years ago. That was fun. But definitely an experience. I also enjoy watching the arts. I remember, I think it was A Few Good Men that was playing over the Antrim Playhouse. And ever since I watched that play, I'm like, I mean, before I wanted to be Tom Cruise, now I want to try to be Jack Nicholson, So I don't know if I'll be able to pull it off.
Tom Cruise, I just want to let you know, I was kind of envious. When I first met Tom at Dolce Vita in Nyack, when we were sitting down, I looked at him and he's such a handsome young man and stuff like that. And I said, this will be a nice person to work with. And I think as soon as he heard my voice, this is true, everybody, he took out a stack of business cards and he slammed it on the ground. He goes, would you like to work for me?
Well, on the table, not on the ground.
On the table.
On the table. I didn't like throw it on the ground. Like, no, it was like, let's do this.
Yes, I didn't throw it on the ground. My apologies.
No, that's all right.
So, yeah, but that was a very wonderful thing to say. But also, like getting back to the arts and stuff like that, I continually do things like reviews on the Elmwood Playhouse. I've actually gone to the point where I've been invited to do Broadway plays, and I've done Broadway plays as well, doing reviews. But like I said, we can expand and stuff, but I do like to keep things local. I'm from Rockland County. I went to West Nyack Elementary. I went to Clarkstown South. I went to Boston University, then traveled for media, voice in places like states like Texas, Florida, California, and now back home. I think it would be a good idea to do what I do best, not being arrogant, is news. Me back home.
Absolutely. Yeah. And what I like about you is your confidence level. And I think it has to do that we both have like amazing hair. I think that's what it is. Like we got really awesome hair. So we are meant for the radio, man. That's the way.
Oh my God!
You might be
Facebook
better at telling a joke than I do. I'll have to see what
We have the
happens.
Facebook radio. Is that correct?
No. Well, delivering it, it's almost like a weird paradigm where it's like you have really good hair and then you could do really good phone calls. You know what I mean?
That absolutely is true.
Yeah,
Absolutely true. Now, you
Intervision
actually
or
have,
something.
when I saw you doing that Woodstock of Rockland at what exactly was that called now?
Oh, Rockland Music
At,
Fest.
yeah, I called it the Woodstock of Rockland, and Tom
Thank you.
did not shave. He did not shave or cut his hair for about, I think, looked like 7 months.
It was a little too much.
And
It was getting down to my shoulders at that point.
so handsome, but he looked like a hippie. And I was expecting a bandana soon or something like that. So I got the idea that I should start that look now. So now my beard is not Santa Claus yet because I keep it trimmed.
Uh-huh.
But I remember the other day I was actually wearing a bandana, and my hair is a little bit longer now. God's honest truth. I go into a gym and an old guy looks at me and stares. He goes, "I know you," and I guess maybe because he was 87.
Right.
He got a flashback from a rock star in the 70s. Maybe it was somebody from the Guess Who. I don't know, something like that. But,
Yeah, exactly. Well, I have to say, and it was a great, test run. Like I said, we're going to keep it really easy going. It's very much appreciated that you did this, especially on Monday morning, because, running a lot of companies, it takes a lot of time. So, we want to have very talented individuals reporting to the public on what's going on. And it's, from what George Holman told me, it's like a public service.
Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity. It's always been a pleasure working with you, always in print. Staying in contact as friends. And real fast, is Tom actually, again, I was saying I'm very passionate about nonprofits. Tom actually offered some passes to another step in Special Olympics, so I could take some of the members there to the concert, to the show. And that was very nice of you, Tom Osa. I appreciate that very much.
My pleasure.
And everybody there is always asking about you. Just tell Tom,
no
I said.
And thank you for that. I still have it in the bookshelf, the playbill gift that you got me about a year and a half ago. So I always remembered that. That was a very nice gift. I appreciate you, man.
Oh, Stereophonic.
Cool.
That was autographed. Stereophonic is the name of the play.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That was based on, like, I guess you could say, the Rumors album by Fleetwood Mac. But you're welcome. It's deserving. And again, it's always been a pleasure working with you.
And Robert, what's a good way to contact you just in case people want to give you some information about news that may or may not be happening?
That's a very good. I guess if they want to contact me, probably business-wise, I would say probably RJOWAISZAS @yahoo.com.
Yes.
So feel free to send tips on news, or you can send it directly to Tom's news at Rockland News, and they could forward it to me, and then we could check from there. But please, anybody out there have any tips, any news, any ideas, maybe something personally, groups like veterans, Girl Scouts, Little League, anything to do with anything, Rockland, do, and be personal. Call in. Give Tom a call, give him an email, do anything you'd like. Get involved in our station.
Exactly.
We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, absolutely. Robert Jowaiszas, our guest newscaster. I'm going to call you Anchorman on this Monday morning. Thank you very much, Robert, for being with us today.
Oh, my pleasure, Tom.
All right.
Thank you very much for having me.
And Robert, feel free to stay on the air with us. We're just going to bring in our next guest. Is Joe Call. We're going to be talking about pilot programs. And I got to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I really love this new podcast board that we have brought in about a month ago. And it was a long time coming. It was almost overpromising. It was like, yeah, it's going to get installed. It's going to get installed. It's finally installed. And we're also able to get a little campy on the air. All right. So, we're not just going to necessarily report like the serious news. We're also going to get a little bit fun and everything. Like I try to keep it. Because look, we're doing this, it's a living, okay? But we got to enjoy what we're doing while we're working. And to that end, we now have a soundboard that brings in stupid songs like this. All right, that's enough of that. Okay, that's enough. That's it. All right, we're calling Joe Call right now. Okay, and here he is.
Hello.
Hey, hello. How you doing, Joe Call? You are live on Rockland's News. How you doing today? Is you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just, I'm in my car. I was just going under a bridge.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. So we're doing this, and Joe, thanks for being a guest on Rockland's News this morning. We were talking over the weekend, and Joe has been studying the recent report on pilot programs via Thomas DiNapoli, the state comptroller, and he had some interesting findings, especially about the value of pilot programs. And it's a pretty comprehensive report. And Joe, we appreciate that you're taking the lead in reading things like that. So, and you posted something on Facebook over the weekend talking about that value, and maybe you could speak on it for a little bit.
Okay, so basically what the article was explaining was these IDAs. Each county has this IDA, and what these companies, what they do is, it's an independent development agency. They're supposed to bring businesses in to generate jobs.
Right.
So if, I have a warehouse, right, and I have 100 employees, and I'm in, say, Orange County, and I want to move into Rockland. Businesses would generally work with these agencies, not a government agency, it's an outside agency, and say, look, I want to move my warehouse to Rockland County. I'm going to have 100 employees. I'm going to buy a piece of land. I want to build a warehouse. Can you help me? What can you do for me?
Right.
How can I bring these 100, 200, 300, 1,000 people to be employed? And the agency would go to the county, the towns, and the municipalities, the school district, and work out a deal, get them a tax break. Because when a business employs people, and it's a business, they don't have kids going into schools. They're not really putting a lot of pressure on public services. They're generally adding to, the economic factor of the community by generating jobs. So, they will get them tax breaks on their property with the schools, but generally, they're not putting kids into the schools. Well, the IDA, if you look at a lot of their recent agreements that they've been working on, have been for profit and non-profit housing. The Chair Factory had the IDA. That's how the pilot between the school district was agreed upon. Oak Tree, which is another housing development behind Carnival ShopRite, they just signed a pilot, at the last school board meeting, and it was a little bit disturbing the way that's going on, is because when these pilots for housing are handed out, it basically redistributes the tax burden to other residential taxpayers. It says, we're not going to charge you, market taxes. We're going to give you a discount.
Right.
So, for example, the Chair Factory, the first year they're going to pay $65 per unit, and then it goes up. They don't hit $1 million for like at least, I'm not sure, was maybe 15 years.
Yeah, I saw that. It's like in 2041 or something like that. I forget exactly.
So it's about 15 years. And here's the thing with a project like that, of that scale. 450 units. We're going to say on average, and I know you're going to think I'm crazy.
No, go.
Per unit.
That's why you're here.
Which, honestly, 1.5 kids, I think, is low. My father does have, rental properties, and we see in a 1-bedroom, sometimes you do have a kid or two. Some 2 bedrooms, you're going to have more kids. 3 bedrooms, you definitely have more. You could have 600, 700 kids. If you have 600, 700 kids, that's a minimum of 10 bus routes. Minimum of 10. Probably that alone is $1 million a year tax burden to the school district. So I don't know why the school, I know that we need housing. We need affordable housing. But if this is what the state wants and the county wants, well, then maybe let the whole state pay for it like they do with New York City. Now, if Rockland County needs all this housing, why does a Stony Point resident have to pay for housing in Haverstraw when this lotto goes from Newburgh down to the Bronx? So this doesn't just help Rockland County. This helps anyone that lives in Newburgh all the way down to the Bronx, 9 counties, I believe, can join this lotto and move down in the chair factory project in Haverstraw.
Now,
Doesn't really help the county.
Now, if I can ask this, and to your point, so the Haverstraw Chair Factory is the Haverstraw Chair Factory, right? And there's
Mhm.
obviously a pilot program that's being worked out still. You know, there's like, for instance, like the town of Haverstraw has been holding from allowing for their part of the pilot program because of a reported strain on infrastructure. So that, in other words, you know, you
Well,
put in 400, 200, 400, 500 units. It's like, you know, what's going to it do to the surrounding area? And the thing that I find interesting is how Stony Point is paying for a Haverstraw related project through this pilot. It's very interesting because
we're probably
the
going to
schools, right?
about 43%. Yes, 43. It depends on how the equalization rate is. I think it's like 43 to 57. So if you look at the 152 million, the taxes are going to go up a little bit this year. 152 million budget that the taxpayers pay.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 43% is Stony Point and 57%. And I don't know if those are exact numbers, but they're pretty close. Is Haverstraw. So with that being said, Stony Point is still on the hook for it. The residents are going to be paying for some of it, and they basically have no say in it. And
Interesting.
there's nothing they can do about it. You know, these people that are supposed to be representing them, say on the school board, voted and signed this pilot. They didn't really look at it. They didn't think of Stony Point. You know, if we need affordable housing, that's fine. But other taxpayers, I know they're going to pay for it some way or another.
Mhm.
But let the state fund it and let all the residents of New York State pay for it instead of the taxpayers of Stony Point or the taxpayers of Haverstraw.
Yeah,
You know,
and
our taxes were already high for a really long time
Mhm.
compared to our values. You know, people that have moved here in the last 10 years don't know how good it used to be, 20 years ago. But relative to our values, our taxes were very, very high.
yeah.
Because our property taxes were high, our values were very low.
Yep. And it seems to me
They
that
suppressed our prices.
New York State has basically just put some sort of a pin on the map, like not even really regarding us as the place where the quality needs to be developed over the course of time. You know, and obviously there's different programs for different things, but we're still trying to figure out where these guardrails are for the individuals that are legitimately protesting. They're welcome. They have the right to, but like safety guardrails along Route 59. And we reached out to Patrick Carroll's office at least a half dozen times, but it's almost like there's certain components where it's just like, oh, we'll do this over here. And you put a pin in the map and, like the Chippy program and so on. But with the IDA thing,
Because
it's like we're basically just, how do I put it? Like, so we had Beth Cefalu and John Lyon from Rockland County government on, and they were talking about the percentage disparity. I think you'll be interested in this. I'll turn it back over to you. Is that so? 8% increase in residents locally, and only 4% housing development. So I thought that the number, like, we had Nyack Village Mayor Joe Rand on several months ago. He said the number of units that are unavailable, like the shortage, is about 7,500 units. They were on the show. They said it was higher. So it seems like New York State is pushing us a little bit.
They're also out there touting people to move here. Nyack was promoting the lottery system for Section 8 outside of Nyack. Originally, Walnut Hills, I don't know, one of them over there was, senior housing. It was built for, local residents. They will sell local. Well, now there's a housing lottery for it.
Right.
A Section 8 lotto. You can sign up for it. Like, listen, people need help. I know people need help. But you can't shift like with the school taxes going up $66 on average for every resident.
Right.
Between the increase in gas, the increase in electric, increase in insurance, $66 doesn't sound like a lot of money, but when you don't need the $66, don't take it, because there's some people out there that $66 is going to break their budget.
Exactly.
And then there's no going back.
Right.
And
Bingo.
they're going to have to force to sell their house.
Mm-hmm.
When you don't need the money, you don't take it. You know what? When you had too much money, you should have lowered the tax a little bit. It was never done. You know, the comptroller's audit pointed out a lot of things. Everyone says it's responsible accounting. It was not responsible accounting. If the state of New York says you're doing something wrong, you're probably doing something wrong.
Right.
Because a lot of times they say you're doing things right when you're not always doing things right.
Yeah.
People need to pay attention. People need to know what's going on. People need to, to wake up. And, you have to be involved. You have to see. It's very easy. I go to the school board meeting. The first time they ripped something out to talk about it was for the pilot for Oak Tree.
Right.
And basically, it sounded like they had a conversation before the meeting, which they're not supposed to do. There's supposed to be full transparency.
Yep.
There's not a lot of transparency.
Well, if I recall correctly, I believe Thomas DiNapoli also released a report on, let's just say, his findings and or opinion. I want to stay objective about this, of course, about how North Rockland Central School District applied for whole bunches of grants, and it seems like some of them weren't completely spent, weren't completely allocated toward various things. And I think North Rockland Central School District basically responded with, well, yeah, it was during COVID and we just had really good grant writing skills.
Well, I mean,
so I'm like, good, but bad, but I'm not sure. You know what I mean?
They lost a federal grant. It got pulled from them for like a lot of money, $2 million, I think it was.
Really? Okay.
I mean, it's good to get grants. It's supposed to help, but the problem is when you get these grants and you put things in place, and those grants disappear, you're still responsible for the people that you hire.
Yes, exactly.
You're still responsible. Once you start giving services, certain services, it's very hard to cut them off.
Yeah, you can't take them
because now
back.
people become reliant upon them and dependent upon it. And there's 6,300 people, students from Haverstraw. There's like 2,000 from Stony Point. Big difference. And let's be honest, there's 63% of the kids are, below the poverty line. If you look at the statistics, I mean, the school district gets a lot of money for these things. Our lunch is fully funded by the federal government, because if you have over a certain percentage of kids that are entitled to free lunch, everyone gets free lunch, and it's great. And free breakfast, but make sure they're getting a good lunch and a good breakfast.
Well, yeah.
My son comes home, he doesn't want to eat the food, and then they brag that they have so much money left over from this.
Yeah,
if you have that much money left over, it's instead of spending $2 million on chairs for the cafeteria, give the kids better lunch.
I would have to agree. Yeah, and I mean, there's a difference between having. I mean, I'm just going to try to be nutritious for a moment. It's like I made my own hummus yesterday. It's like, so that's more, and it's not expensive. Like it's not, it's like literally a can of chickpeas and like some other stuff. You throw it in and boom, there's got to be an industrial level process to be able to offer like, something protein based rather than, chocolate num-nums or whatever.
Well, what's funny is that they hired a lot of people to do this. They have a new food director who makes significantly more than the last one. They hired a company for $170,000 a year to manage it. They can pay this company $2,000 a day to come in and work with the staff to make better lunches. It's on its I believe it's going to go on its third year this year. Is it working?
Right.
I put out a post last year on the school lunch. I got a lot of heat over it. They were real pictures. They came out of the school. You look at these other countries, their lunch is beautiful. But now I'm like way off topic. But back to the
no, it's all right. I mean, we're just kind of BSing here, like nothing, And for those of you that are joining us right now, we're on with Joe Call, who has been an often guest on Rockland's News, and we're basically talking about the value of these pilot programs that are basically brought in and recommended and suggested, for instance, by the state, local industrial development agencies and such, and also different municipalities that offer them depending upon the services. So we had a conversation about that. And now it's just about numbers. I mean, bottom line, and Joe, you and I have talked offline, and, you're an employer. You employ people. So you look at the,
Yeah.
what the inflows and outflows are at all times, and they just got to balance out, right?
It's you know what? And I think what's going to happen is not now. This little $66 tax raise is just a test.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to continually, my numbers tell me in my mind, with the formulas, with the guaranteed contracts, with the guaranteed raises, with the increase in healthcare. They say energy was up, but they have this big 4-acre solar panel that they put in years ago to cut down a ton of trees in Tompkins Cove. Like, they're going to need money. If the state does what they did this year, you're going to be digging into your pocket every year.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm bracing for it.
The budget by $100 million in 5 years. The budget has gone up $100 million in 5 years.
So I wonder what that is per capita, like the responsibility per individual.
$42,000. Well, the thing is that our tax base didn't go up.
Mm-hmm.
The state was ponying up the rest of the money, which if you pay state taxes, that's your money too. It's all tax money.
Yep. It's all about
however you look at it. So when they get more money, it's coming out whatever your employer takes out of your paycheck every week.
Yep.
And if you have a little business on the side and you pay more taxes, it's coming out of that. But $100 million is a lot of money in 5 years.
Yep.
And I tell people, like my son voted for the last time last year. My son is very liberal. He's going to Rockland College. He's an opera singer. His major is opera.
Oh, cool.
Phenomenal.
We actually had an opera singer at the last Rockland Music Fest. Oh yeah, absolutely. I'll send you the video, brother. He did
he performed.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. It's
wow.
a YouTube video, and I had tears in my eyes. I really did. So your son does opera?
In Italy last year.
Okay.
Yes. He was doing musical leadership. I said to him, Joe, in 5 years, you've been through the high school.
Mm-hmm.
$100 million difference in the budget for the whole district.
All right.
Was your experience by the end better than in the beginning with all his extra money?
Right. Was the investment?
And he voted in a way that I didn't think he would have voted, and we'll leave it at that. But it's great we have all these fields and everything, but you got to work on your basic stuff. The bathrooms are disgusting. They have issues that need to be fixed.
Yeah.
They make the outside look beautiful and the inside's a mess. You can't do that.
Agreed.
You need stuff that kids are using every day to be fixed first, and everything else is secondary. I mean, we need the football field. It was old, whatever. We need the track, 8-lane track, because we had a smaller track. Fine. But now we got 2 more baseball fields. We got another turf field, and God only knows what's coming next.
Right, exactly.
If the money's there, I don't think the money's going to be, because the salaries are going up. We're hiring a lot more administrators, and this is where these pilots come in with paying $65 a unit, $100 a unit. 150 of those units are market rate, and 300 are affordable.
Right.
So it's not even like the whole project. Plus, I don't know if you knew this, they're putting a hotel down there too, supposedly.
Right. Yeah. Like a little small. I forget how many units. It's like 45 units in the hotel.
I read 150.
150.
I don't know if that's fact or fiction.
All right.
So,
interesting.
And now they're trying to get feedback from the community. But as a business person, how can you determine what business is going to go in there until you know who's living there and what services they need?
You know what? Yeah. Because you can't put the cart before the horse. Who's going to be at the facility? I mean, a good example I'll give you that's local is Admiral's Cove, right? And they have a clientele there. And it seems like, we've been following that story for like 3 or 4 months, and we're literally just like waiting for a new cluster F of information that always comes to us that we have to report on, obviously. But the amenities there are even being stretched, and seemingly by not that many people. It's like there's a few people that are a little, I'm just going to say gently, they seem to be a little wacky, and they're taking over the resort, like the pool, the common area with like the community room and everything like that. And it's almost like property management doesn't even have the ability to remove, people that are stretching the resources too much. I mean, it's just wrong what's happening over there. And
you have to be strict. You know what? You have to be strict.
Yeah, exactly.
Listen, if you don't, I'll give you my father owns properties. And if I have an issue with someone, I go and I talk to them directly and tell them, like, listen, we want this to be clean. We want this to be nice. We have other people that live here. If you can't do that, then maybe this is not for you.
Right. Exactly.
You need people that can have that conversation, because I don't know how many people live there, but say they have 100.
It's more than that.
If they have 3 people, well, whatever, 150 in the, I don't know the Admiral's Cove.
No,
But what
no
I'm
worries.
saying is, they have hundreds of people,
Yeah.
and 4 or 5 people are making it terrible for everyone else. Shame on them for not doing something about it.
Right. And it's marketed as a luxury complex. That's the thing that cracks me up. And there's heating and air conditioning issues and the mold. One woman that we did an interview with, apparently she was in the elevator. Her elevator dropped 2 floors with her in it. Like,
well, that's supposed to get inspected every year too, and that's brand new.
Yeah. So, and I don't know, but it seems to me like this is a structural flaw. And I'm now curious, Joe, and I'm glad that you were on the air today. Did they get an idea? Did they get a pilot when they built that place?
They got one. You can go look at all the IDAs. The power plant got a mortgage tax exemption because to keep their 33 employees. Why they need a mortgage tax exemption? You know, you got to go. If you go on the website for the IDAs, you can see them all listed there, and a lot of them are housing. You know, in Suffern years ago, they got the IDA for the one. I don't know if it was going to be the warehouse or whatever, and then they ended up selling the property. They never even put what they were going to put there.
Right.
If you're going to put this in place, the benefit shouldn't start until the facility is up and running, unless it's the sales tax exemption. I understand the sales tax exemption. If you're going to spend $200 million building and buying from local places, you know, hopefully you're supporting local and using local tradesmen. If you want a sales tax exemption, I'll give you a sales tax exemption. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Joe Call.
But everything else should not.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. No, that's it.
Yeah, and you know what? That the entire segment here was very insightful, and I almost feel like this is what we're talking about here. It's obviously vital for the local community, but the people that are tuning in right now, it's also going to be useful for creating that conversation that's going to be moving forward. You know, there's obviously the hard news that we report on rocklandsnews.com and the facts and everything, but it's also how it affects the local community. And I think that's really the value of what we have here when we have Joe Call and before Robert Jowaiszas on reporting the news. So first of all, Joe Call, thank you for tuning in today and calling in to Rockland's News.
One more thing, Tom.
Go ahead, hit me.
Tom?
Yeah.
Tomorrow, the school board vote for all school districts, so just make sure you go out and vote.
Yes.
You know, if you're for it or you're against it, you have a candidate you want to win that's on the ballot, just make sure you go vote, because no one votes. And then when something happens, people say, people never get upset until they get the bill. And once you get the bill, it's too late.
Indeed.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's
So everybody make sure you go out and rock the vote. And that's going to be on Tuesday, May 19th. Rock the vote. And again, Joe Call, thank you for joining us today on Rockland's News. Also want to, as we wind down, because I actually got a Zoom happening in about a minute and a half, but I want to thank Robert Jowaiszas for being on with us and reporting the news this morning. I'm really looking forward to doing some more segments all around. And for those of you that are listening in today, we want to thank our sponsors, the New York Boulders baseball team, Yabu Fence Company, Dana Pest Control, Easy Temp located in Hackensack, New Jersey, Fiesta Acapulco, Kobe Sushi. And remember, there's jazz on music Wednesdays and Saturday nights, jazz music over at Kobe Sushi in New City, New York, Breakpoint Bowling, Whole Shot Bagels, the UPS store in West Haverstraw, Ivy Rehab Physical Therapy, West Haverstraw, New York, Susan Bova, Coldwell Banker Realty, 99signs.com for all your digital billboard and portable signs needs, FZ Perfection, and of course, our friends over at Clean Space Maintenance Management Company. Get the mobile dumpster showing up at your home. Get the entire place cleaned out for spring cleaning for just $199. Plus, remediation fees. You got to drop off the stuff. Usually it's like $25, $30. We had them over here a few weeks ago, and the studio feels nice and clean, except for the thing that I just knocked over. So I always got to end with something stupidly awkward, and that was it. But we're going to finish up with Ilana just calling it out, and we're going to just finish with the music. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to Rockland's News today. Our next report will be on Tuesday at 3 o'clock, and we'll have our second podcast, our second video podcast with Amy Conklin Stam. the town supervisor for the town of Stony Point. And by the way, the first video podcast is with Beth Cefalu and John Lyon from Rockland County Government, and they're talking about the Global Rhythms Festival, which is going to be coming up this summer. It's going to be one heck of a party, so stay tuned for a lot more.
You're listening to Rockland News, available on Apple, Spotify, and online at rocklandnews.com. Thanks for joining us today. Here is your host, Tom Osa.
All right, so we're going to finish this up, and I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not exactly sure if the music is too loud or too low or too light. We'll figure that out. But again, one more time, I just want to thank Robert Jowaiszas for being our guest anchorman on this morning's news. We also had Joe Call talking about pilots locally, and it has to do with things that the Rockland County IDA has an involvement in, as well as New York State. And we'll have more information on that on rocklandnews.com. Also, stay tuned again for our new video podcast series, and we're going to have several episodes launching over the next several days. Until next time, my name is Tom Oster. Have a great rest of the day. Talk to you soon. Okay. Right into the next meeting.
You're listening to Rockland News, available on Apple, Spotify, and online at